So you have an idea for an app or a software tool, but simply don't know how to get started. Over the next 4 minutes, I'm going to take you through some of the steps that I took to get my app idea live on the App Store, but ultimately the steps that you'll need to take to transform your app idea to reality.
I feel like this is an accurate representation of how I felt when I started trying to make my app a reality just a few years ago. At the start of a journey, when you think of an idea, it can be incredibly exciting, but also incredibly overwhelming. So you think, you have so many tasks to do, from setting up a business account, legal documents, finding your first co-founder. It can all seem very overwhelming at the start. And this was just me a few years ago. So I was in university. I had an app idea within a sector I was passionate about, which was golf. I was pitching for money in different competitions, and I didn't really know how to get it off the ground. But over a period of 2 years, with a lot of mistakes and a lot of things I also did right, I eventually got to a point where I launched my product. And over the next year, I was able to acquire customers from around the world, get over 1,500 users on the app, and also raise investment to be able to go full time on my startup. Ultimately, this has allowed me to live life on my own terms, being able to travel, being able to work with a team remotely online. Of course, it's not all plain sailing. There's certainly difficult days, and I'm also on the stage of growing my startup, so I certainly haven't got all this right. But what I have found is there's a certain set of principles that will help you get your idea to reality a lot quicker and a lot cheaper than what I did, which is what I would love to share. So, the few things I did wrong in my journey that ultimately cost me a lot of time and a lot of money. So, first of all, it's an instinctive once you have an app idea to ask all your friends what they think about it, to ask your parents, and ultimately these people aren't going to pay for your app. So ultimately, it's just false validation. Second of all, I moved very slowly. I didn't take action fast, which cost me a lot of time and a lot of money. And finally, investing over £50,000 of grant funding and my own personal money to build the app. When in actuality, if I go back to the start, I could do that a lot cheaper. So again, it can feel very overwhelming to have an app idea but not know where to start. And these are some of the struggles that I encountered, not having users, building an MVP incorrectly, and all of the above, which can just kill your momentum when you're starting. So when it started to go right for me and I was able to make progress faster to actually getting an app live, I started speaking to potential customers as opposed to other people to get validation. So for me, this was golf clubs. I sat down and had in-depth interviews with them to understand deeply what was the pain I was trying to solve. I then took this information and built out wireframes on free tools online. So Figma and Adobe XD are awesome, and we can go into more detail on that. And I got real world feedback on a working prototype that I built. And again, you don't need to be technical for this. This can all be done with YouTube tutorials. But you might still be wondering, how did I take these really simple sketches on the left-hand side to actually a real world app with users and being able to raise investment? The starting point of all of it was creating a minimum viable product. So this is essentially the simplest version of the product that you can launch in the fastest amount of time that someone will actually pay for. So an MVP should be fast to build. You should be able to do it in a few months. Should be cheap to build. And also, this will start the feedback loop for your next iteration.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is my 2 cents on how you can get an app idea off the ground from idea stage right through to being live in an app store or online, using the principles of building a minimum viable product, which you should be able to do pretty cheaply and pretty quickly. Yeah, I will see you in the next one.